Colts Nation, welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Derek, Cody, joining me as always. And guys, we wanted to talk. I know the draft has been a few weeks out now, so we know this. It's been almost a month since the draft has been away, but we figured we'd kind of bring a little bit more of the draft content back. And we talk about a few hidden gems that the Colts really got in this draft. Now, we know there probably could be some arguments made for a few other different hidden gems. Basically kind of talking about how they fit our scheme could be a little bit more hidden than what some people think. But
yeah, and the values,
in
especially the value.
So
Yeah.
First name that we kind of wanted to talk about, and it's really been a name that I think a lot of Colts Nation has been talking about. Just we don't know quite what to expect from Curtis Brooks right off the bat, but nevertheless, we have him on this list. And Curtis Brooks, defensive tackle out of Cincinnati, drafted in the 6th round of the 2022 NFL draft. It's very interesting, Curtis Brooks, because we talked with Morocco Brown about this and asking him, what he felt about why Curtis Brooks potentially fell down the list. And he just said, due to the COVID year, you see other guys fall and other guys jump just based off that extra year of experience. But nevertheless, Cody, we've seen Curtis Brooks part of that great Cincinnati defense from last year, that defense that helped take Cincinnati to the playoffs in college football, was one of their main front guys. And, the numbers back this guy up. I mean, this guy could be really good.
Mm-hmm. Talked about it. He was like, the most productive pass rusher in this entire draft somehow. And he fell all the way to the 6th round. Like, okay, you blame COVID. Okay, how good of an excuse is that? And also you blame, the size, but really how small is he? Is like 280, 285. So it's not that small. So yeah, it's bizarre how he fell this far. And I think at the very least, he's a nice rotational player for you. But at the best, if he continues to do what he does, what he did at Cincinnati, I mean, this might be a little like crazy, Derek. Maybe it's a little bit of a hyperbole, but I happen to remember a guy who was very productive in college, who was a little bit smaller, who turned out to be a pretty good pick for the Colts. Now, again, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you get what I mean. You can't just judge a guy based off of his size, because it's not about the dog size.
It's not about the size of the dog.
Okay.
It's about the size of the fight in that dog. That's Darius Leonard saying from was it 2020 when they were playing the Bills in the playoffs? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That was a cringe moment by me. I do apologize.
I only remember it because I was playing it in my head a few times a few days ago. So that's why I remember.
Hey, it's late. We're recording a little bit later. I'm not fully here brain-wise. So, but yeah, I mean, Curtis Brooks, all the numbers back up. He's a productive player. So it's just bizarre that he fell this far. But hey, I'll happily take him on our team. And, getting him in the 6th round, Derek, is a huge steal and a huge hidden gem.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of talked about it a little bit. I kind of recall just a few drafts ago of, Ballard also getting this very intriguing 6th round draft pick in the 2020 draft. And look at where he is now. He's now going to be a starter, presumably, for this defense upcoming. So, Ballard has had his fair share of late picks that have turned out to be pretty good players for this team. And, Curtis Brooks seems like one of those that is going to keep that long list going that Ballard and his scouts have really picked up. So I'm excited for it. Can't wait to see the value that this guy brings. And we can kind of go to the next name here. And that was Bernhard Ryman from Central Michigan, left tackle. A lot of people had some differing opinions on this. I heard people question, the fact he's already 25 years old at this point. So coming in a few years later than a bunch of other guys coming into this draft. But again, what you got him in the 3rd round, most people presumed Ryman was going to be the 5th left tackle taken amongst the whole draft board, and, predicted he was early to mid 2nd round. So, the Colts were taking a chance on dropping back in the 2nd round to try and get another one of their guys. And they were like, Ryman's an intriguing one, But they're like, there was just no way that this guy was going to fall to where they got him at in the 70s. And sure enough, where you get him, Cody, I mean, the hidden gem of this, he may not be a starter right away, but you feel confident from where you got him and what you see in the player and the character of him. You think this could be the left tackle of the future?
I really do. Yeah. I mean, there's a few question marks. You talked about the fact that he's a little bit older, right? There's some questions about his knees. I think his arm length as well. But I mean, Braden Smith, has shorter arms than he does. So how much of a concern is that really? I'm not too concerned in that. And you're right. He had a great opportunity immediately to be the left tackle of the future, to be the day one starter. Now, he may not because he has some competition in Matt Pryor, but he might. He might. I think he's talented enough where if you look out, week one in a couple months here, if Bernhard Ryman is your left tackle, I would not be shocked in the slightest. Is he going to be? I think if you're making me choose, I'm probably still giving the edge slightly to Matt Pryor. But I think certainly next year it's for Bernhard Ryman for the taking, honestly, because he is extremely talented. And I think he's gonna be a really solid left tackle for the future. I think he has star potential at left tackle because he only has 2 years of experience at tackle, Derek. And look what he did, to be able to be considered a fringe first, second round talent with only 2 years, right? And he was one of the best tackles in college football last year. Playing with a program like Central Michigan, it's not, the most prestigious program, but look what he was able to
There's
do.
Been some talent coming out of the MAC recently, man. I'm telling you. I mean, there's been some talent. I mean, there's been some boys, and especially, Isaiah Rogers came out of UMass. That's MAC. I mean, Sky Moore coming out of the MAC. And Corey Davis, who was a top 5 draft pick many years ago, came out of, I believe it was Western Michigan that came out of that one. So, and even Central Michigan, I think Antonio Brown came out of Central Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's from one of them. But, they produce some talent, man. And you're right. With being so, and I think that's the other thing that fits into the argument with the hidden gem part is you don't know exactly what you're getting out of Ryman right away. You don't know, but what you love is the potential. The fact that this guy's so young in the position, but yet is still so good at the position gives you hope that, oh yeah, year or two down the line, we get him involved in this NFL stuff. We get him a little stronger. We get him to fine tune some things a little bit. This guy's going to hit right here with our offensive line. You feel confident with him next to Quentin Nelson and them being able to move guys on the offensive line for the run. I mean, Ryman fits right in.
And here's the thing, Derek, like tackles, especially tackles, it feels like can play into their mid 30s to 40s. Like we've seen the Andrew Whitworths of the world, those guys that play for years and years. So I'm not so much concerned with the age as maybe some other people are, because you still can get 10 to 15 good years out of him, if not more, with what we've seen from certain tackles, right? Not every tackle can do that, but some tackles can play really well, into their 30s and stuff like that. So, I think he could be a hidden gem just for the fact of where you projected him to before the draft, where people were taking him in mock drafts and everything, all the experts, versus where he actually got taken and the kind of player that he is. I think he has hidden gem written all over him. But we can move now, Derek, to the last guy we want to talk about. This is a guy that was a shock to all of us, when the Colts drafted him, because originally they were done for the night. I mean, you stopped streaming. Everybody thought Colts are done picking for the night. Nope. Chris Ballard had other plans. The Colts trade back up into the 3rd round, 96 overall, to select the Maryland safety, Nick Cross. Now, Derek, why is he a hidden gem?
Well, I think it's to kind of go along with the Ryman thing is, the potential of it. It's one of those things where you look at the intangibles of a Nick Cross, and it's like Nick Cross plays a lot like Julian Blackmon did in college in a way, just that free safety that can go anywhere on the field and would deliver them powerful hits whenever he hit somebody or make those few interceptions that you saw on the back. And then Nick Cross, when you look at just his intangibles, his speed, his length, just what his agility, what he is as an athlete is already better than what you see in guys like Julian Blackmon and Khari Willis. So that gives you the idea that if, again, like giving the Ryman treatment, if he taps into that potential, this guy could be the next great Colt safety. I mean, legitimately. And we've been talking about him ever since he got drafted. I said, the more and more I watch this guy's tape, the more and more I listen to him and talk and hear about him and everything else, the more I keep falling in love with this idea of Nick Cross being here. Because again, a guy that is 6'1", 6'2", and being able to run a 4.3, running the same speed, or actually is even faster than Jonathan Taylor ran his 40, which is crazy to think about. I mean, Nick Cross just is a physical specimen that you just can't wait to see what he has in store. Again, the hidden gem part is we don't know everything yet. He's a prospect. He's a prospect with a high upside. And that's something that you still have to tap into. But what you see in him, it could fit perfectly in this defensive scheme that Gus Bradley's running.
Yep. I'm excited. Just the physical nature of him, and the fact that he's 20 years old. So he is extremely young,
Yes,
extremely gifted, extremely talented. And the fact that you were able to get him, and also he doesn't have to start right away. He could. And I think he very well could. And I don't think enough people are talking about this, Derek. But what if Nick Cross beats out Corey Willis? I don't know if it's going to happen. But what if he does?
and even if he doesn't, even again with the cover 3 scheme look that Gus Bradley likes to run a lot, that extra safety spot. Again, having Nick Cross being in that kind of role would be great to mix things up with Corey and put Corey in situations where he can come up and Nick Cross come back. Even then, to have Julian and Nick Cross covering the back end while Corey comes up front to make tackles where he benefits most. Again, just that ability, what Nick Cross can do and fitting into the scheme just seems so much better now with this defensive coordinator than opposed to a Matt Eberflus.
Absolutely. Well, guys, those are our looks at the 3 hidden gems for the Indianapolis Colts from this 2022 NFL draft. Let us know, guys, your thoughts on these 3 prospects that we talked about. Let us know some other guys you think could potentially be hidden gems as well. Like Derek said at the top of the video, we could have probably talked about a couple other names as well, but we narrowed it down to these 3 guys because we feel like from where they were drafted to the production and the things that they could provide for this team, these are the top 3 guys for us in terms of hidden gems. Let us know your top 3. Thank you guys so much for all your support and everything you do for us. And as always, guys, go Colts.